Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Tuesday evening here at our YouTube channel. And if you've joined us before, you know the drill. If you haven't, if it's your first time joining us today, and if you have no idea about what the wisdom of Kabbalah is, you might find our first, second, and third semester videos published earlier on interesting. And if you're interested in the wisdom of Kabbalah, you can always go to Kabbalah.info and join like-minded people at the Kavu Academy. We've got a great bunch of instructors there who are more than happy to serve you and help you as best they can. In the interim, we're going to carry on with what we are doing, which is reinforcing ourselves with there's none else besides him. All right, so we're going to carry on with this one topic. And we left off at item number 5. So I'm going to carry on. If you've got any questions, any dramas, we've got solutions. So drop us a line. Okay, so we'll try to find answers from the text. All right, so we've got Baal Islam. This is from letter number 18. And let's see what Baal Islam is trying to convey to us. One who assumes the complete burden of the kingdom of heaven finds no labor in the work of the Creator and can therefore adhere to the Creator day and night, in light and in darkness. The Geshem, rain, but also corporeality, which is created in coming and going, changes and exchanges, will not stop him, since the Keter, which is Ein Sof, illuminates to all completely equally. The fool who walks under a flood of preventions that pour on him from before and from behind says to all that he does not feel the cessation and the lack of dvekut as a corruption or iniquity on his part. Had he sensed it, he would certainly have strained to find some tactic to at least be saved from the cessation of dvekut, whether more or less. This tactic has never been denied of anyone who sought it, either as in the thought of faith, or as in confidence, or as in pleas of his prayer, which are suitable for a person specifically in the narrow and pressured places, for even a thief in hiding calls on the Creator. All right, sometimes when we're reading Baal Islam, it's complicated. Okay, so he's writing, I mean, this is like 100 years old, all right, so it's like quite old, and it's also translated. So the mother tongue is not English, it's translated from Hebrew. So obviously sometimes when translation plus the old kind of talk, the old kind of language is getting combined, things could be a little hard to understand. All right, so what we're going to do, we are going to still make an effort to see what we can get out of this article. So let's go sentence by sentence and see what we can get. One who assumes the complete burden of the kingdom of heaven finds no labor in the work of the Creator and can therefore adhere to the Creator day and night, in light and in darkness. So if we were decisively taking upon ourselves our spiritual, how can I say, development, growth, or our spiritual mission, right, to elevate ourselves to the level of love and bestowal rather than remaining in our self-centered egoism. If that was our target, and if we wanted to take that on, and if we committed to that mission, then we would not feel tired. We would not feel, I don't know, demotivated. Okay, we wouldn't feel lack of energy, let's say. All right, we'd be all honky-dory. All right, so unfortunately, though, we've got ups and downs on the path because we're a desire to receive. As long as we are in our egoistic nature, you know, taking the next step forward, the next leap towards bestowal is always going to be a drama, all right, because we have to go against the grain of our human nature. If we were already above that hurdle, we'd be all laughing, all right? It's like, you know, laughing all the way to the bank, as they say, right? So we'd be laughing as well. However, though, we're not there yet. So until that happens, you know, we're going to go through ups and downs. That's what it's calling, day and night, light and darkness, okay? So until that happens, until we're in spirituality, these ups and downs are a bit more straining on us. because we have no clue about where the creator is, what the creator is, how we're supposed to be in touch with this upper force that we can't grasp at the moment, but we're supposed to, right? That's the goal. So what happens? The Geshem, the rain or corporeality, which is created in coming and going, changes and exchanges. So sometimes what we'll do, what we will see, okay, is we'll have elevated states where we're feeling great and, you know, we've got power, we've got strength, we really feel like, yeah, we can nail this, okay? And that's how we feel. And we push and we move forward. But those times are quite random, okay? They are rarer than the downs, okay? And this is how it's kind of how it works out. Why? Because our nature is self-centered egoism, and we're always thinking about ourselves. The descents are obviously, or the falls are more, you know, obvious, and it seems like it's never going to stop, you know, constantly going, you know, one after the other. But because we're still, you know, trotting along, struggling, moving forward, despite the fact that our legs are seemingly going backwards, we're trying to put one foot in front of the other, we're making an effort. So what happens is we get those states of elevation where the effort that we put in going against our nature, enduring the hardship, accumulates to a certain point, a certain, let's say, quota. And then it just, you know, makes us leap. It just gives us this boom, one push. And that actually takes us to the next kind of level. Now, we can't really discern that next level, okay? We don't feel like we're going to a next level. We just feel like, you know, we're elevated, okay? But that elevation is actually coming to you through the effort you did in the past. So you worked, and then you got this elevated state, and you feel this state of bliss, and you feel like you got spiritual energy, power. You're saying, let's rock and roll, you know, let's get this done kind of thing. And you're all psyched up, and that's great, okay? And that's the time where you can actually add to your spirituality. And the minute you start adding, right, then we're going to go through those ups and downs again, okay? And then it's going to accumulate, and then we're going to go through another state of elevation. Now, this is important to understand, and I'll tell you why it's important to understand. In spirituality, there's a same kind of rhythm, all right? When you attain a certain level, if you remain at that certain level more than the necessary amount, you begin to fall into self-reception. So the whole concept is, once you attain a certain level of bestowal, instead of enjoying it for yourself, you've got to make it work, all right? It means you've got to add to it, because if you don't, you'll fall into what's called the klipot. It means I've attained a certain level in spirituality, and now I'm using it for my self-comfort. All right, so this is actually, this rhythm is actually good for us, because it allows us to understand why I need to move on. Every time I get to an elevated spiritual state, I need to push on, and I shouldn't stay there, because attaining that level is a comfort zone. And if I don't get out of it, I'll have to get kicked by the creator to be pushed out of it. Okay, I don't know if I'm making sense. All right, so this is why the falls are much more than the elevations on our path. And it feels like, you know, there's no end to the falls and stuff, but that's actually a good thing. It actually allows you to build more desire, more need, more yearning. It gives you a better feeling of turning correctly to the creator, because you begin to understand where you can't do things anymore, where it's just like beyond you. You know what I mean? So that kind of stuff is very important to go over and go through. And, you know, it becomes an accumulation process. Okay. What else? The fool says to all that he does not feel the cessation and the lack of dvekud as a corruption or equity on his part. Had he sensed it, he would certainly have strained to find some tactic to at least be saved from the cessation of dvekud, whether more or less. So sometimes we get sick and tired, and all the downs and all the corruptions and the iniquities, which means actually the evil I discover in me, right? Because what's spirituality? Spirituality is the wisdom of Kabbalah, let's call it, right? Because there are a lot of spiritual things out there. The wisdom of Kabbalah is called the wisdom of truth, because the more I study, the more I should be revealing my corruption. So the more I reveal my corruption, the more, the more complaints I'm going to have, obviously. All right. So one complaint after the other, I'm constantly complaining. And then, life goes a little sour and you start cursing to the creator. And then, it's just downhill from there. All right. So what do you have to do? Well, that's a state of a fool. And that does happen. Right? Don't get me wrong. Everybody falls into that trap. It's not a trap. It's something you have to go through as well. Right. So, and then you will feel like a fool after you live that situation, okay? Because you go through that situation and then you think to yourself, oh, crikey. All right, because it dawns on you afterwards. So you go through all the emotional drama and you think, oh, what an idiot. All right, and then you go back and you align yourself. Now that you're able to do if you're using the environment correctly. If you're not, then you fall off the bandwagon. Okay, this is how it works. In everything you do in life, if you want to be successful, even in corporeal stuff, whatever you want in life, you got to make sure the environment you have around you is supporting your goals. If not, you won't make it. So if you want to be smooth, and if you want that ease of transition, that ease of flow to getting where you want to get to in life, you got to make sure you're using the environment correctly. Else, it's either going to be too hard and you're going to let it go, or it's just going to be, you're not going to let it go, but you're just going to suffer trying to get there. Okay, so there's no need to suffer. All you have to do is bring an understanding to the emotional states you're going through. That can only happen if you consistently study the wisdom, so you can relate what you're learning to what you're going through. And then if you use the environment to get strength from the environment, you can hold on and move forward. See, it says 1 + 1 + 1 makes 3. And that's it, basically. All right. So from that situation as well, a lot of falls, and then the realization of your situation allows you to turn to the creator. So you can't really have a state where you're not falling. You can't have a state where you're not angry at the creator. Okay, because we're desired to receive. When things go pear-shaped, you're going to get nuts. Okay, and then you're going to start telling the creator all kinds of nonsense, and it's okay too. But this then allows you to grow up, because you have a chance to evaluate yourself after the emotions, right? You can't evaluate yourself when you're going through a bunch of emotional trauma, simply because your mind isn't there, okay? Your emotions are running wild. So, they overwhelm you. But afterwards, when you had the time to contemplate, or when you carry on with the study and you're studying the articles, and then you're doing the workshops with the friends and so forth, then you bring an understanding to the states that you're going through. This allows you to turn to the creator properly in order to compensate for that. Any questions? All right. Well, let's move forward then. Let's do this. Okay. We're on item number 6. Okay, Ba'al Salam. This is Shemaiah from article number 138, concerning fear that sometimes comes upon a person. Now, this is a really good article. Actually, I was thinking about this article today, funnily enough. So that is really funny. See how the creator is even playing around with me. This was exactly the article I was thinking about while I was going through a bunch of stuff today. And here we are studying it. When fear comes upon a person, he should know that there is none else but him, and even witchcraft. And if he sees that fear overcomes him, he should say that there is no such thing as chance. But the Creator has given him a chance from above, and he must contemplate and study the end to which he has been sent this fear. It appears that it is so that he will overcome and say, there is none else besides him. But if after all this, the fear has not departed him, he should take it as an example and say that his servitude to the Creator should be in the same measure of the fear, meaning that the fear of heaven, which is a merit, should be in the same manner of fear that he now has. That is, the body is impressed by this superficial fear, and exactly in the same way that the body is impressed, so should be the fear of heaven. Let's read this again. I need to read this again myself. This is really nice. What a stroke of destiny. Okay, I don't like to call it luck when we're studying Kabbalah, right? Obviously, nothing's coincidental. Okay, so let's see. When fear comes upon a person, he should know that there's none else besides him. So none else but him. So the first thing we need to know and understand is no matter what happens to us in life, the first thing is to set the source straight. Where is it coming to me? Because it's not Tom, Dick, and Harriet that are doing something to me, all right? It's always going to be me and the Creator. So everything that comes to me is from the Creator. And if I get that right, that allows me to focus. First of all, I can direct myself accordingly without all the nonsense of having to deal with who said what and what said who, all right? That kind of stuff. So we're not dealing with the who and the what and so forth. We're dealing with one thing, the force, the upper force, the Creator. So then everybody else becomes absolutely irrelevant, okay? Because nobody wants to deal with the puppet. We want to deal with the puppet master. So the first thing that we do is there's none else besides him. That allows me to direct myself properly. Then even witchcraft. Obviously, there's no witchcraft, okay, in the wisdom of Kabbalah, but there is such a concept. And if he sees that fear overcomes him, he should say that there is no such thing as chance, okay? But the Creator has given him a chance from above, and he must contemplate and study the end to which he has been sent this fear. It appears that it is so that he will overcome and say there's none else besides him. So it's not enough for me to just say, oh, it's coming from the Creator, great, okay? I can't just say that and put it aside. I've got to work with it. I've got to go down to evaluating this fear. So this is why he says, and if he sees that fear overcomes him, so if this thing is constantly coming to my mind, it means I haven't overcome it yet. Okay, so I'm afraid of something and it's constantly bugging me. All right, so the Creator is constantly sending it to me. Why is he constantly sending it to me? Because he's saying, listen, you haven't dealt with it. Deal with it, and then let's overcome it. Okay, so if it's constantly coming to me and giving me some kind of, I don't know, fear or, trauma, let's say, or bad thoughts and so forth, it means I haven't thought about it. It means I haven't dealt with it properly. I haven't contemplated it. I haven't studied it to the end. And I don't understand why this fear has been sent to me. And this is why it's recurring. It appears that it is so that he will overcome and say there's none else besides him. So once I evaluate where the fear is coming from, I have to see how to relate to this situation. Once I understand, plan for myself. Why do I need to be afraid? Do I need to be afraid of this? If it's coming from the Creator, what do I need to do with this? How can I overcome this? And why is this constantly, bugging me? What do I have to do to get over it? And then what I have to do, if after all that, the fear has not departed him, he should take it as an example and say that his servitude of the Creator should be in the same measure of the fear, meaning that the fear of heaven, which is a merit, should be in the same manner of fear that he now has. So then I should measure the fear I have, okay, with whether I fear not being able to come to bestowing to the Creator. Is it the same kind of fear? Or does it measure up? So I'm, for example, afraid of something, and then I should think, is this fear as strong as me fearing not coming to the goal? All right, what's that good for? Well, then I should focus on that fear instead of this fear. Okay, it allows me to evaluate where I am. So fear, all kinds of problems come to Kabbalists in life. It allows them to build a perspective of what is illusion and what is truth. Okay, so that way you can kind of move within your events and direct yourself much better to the Creator. If there were no dramas in your life, you would not move forward. So this allows me to obviously measure the fear that I have and compare it to the fear of heaven. That is, the body is impressed by the superficial fear. And exactly in the same way that the body is impressed, so should be the fear of heaven. So according to the fear I have now, the Creator is saying, listen, this is the measure of fear to the superficial thing. That is what you should be, that is the same measurement of fear you should have to spirituality right now. So the Creator is actually showing me where I'm lacking. Okay, this is really nice. Okay, because then you can say to yourself, well, wait a minute, I'm scared of something in this transient world where I shouldn't be scared of anything. It's going to go by anyway. Okay, but that fear can now trigger me to kind of build the same level of fear towards spirituality. Okay, and that's the whole idea. All right, so having corporeal fears and so forth are a good measure for us to advance in spirituality. Okay, any questions? Just one. All right, well, definitely take a look at that one. Patricia's asking, every downfall I experience has its root in fear. Is there something in particular to help rise above it? Yeah. The easiest way to rise above any fear is adhesion to the group. And that is the only easy way to get over it. The more I'm stuck with the group, the more I stick my head in, integrate myself into it, the easier it will all go by quickly as well. It'll just go by. All right, so the best way to do it is with the friends. Do I have to fall before I can rise above it? Obviously. If you don't fall, you can't rise, because as kids as well, right? How do we learn to walk? Obviously by falling down. All right, so we're falling, getting up, falling, getting up. And that builds experience as well. So we've got to be like those children, always ready to get up again as soon as they fall. They want to get up and walk. Okay, but they keep falling, but they don't give up. When we get older in life, we say, oh, forget it. Okay, so we're not like kids. We should be like kids. If you want to advance in spirituality, you got to be like children. Just keep walking, as they say. Okay, so let's move on to number 7. Article number 6. When should one use pride in the work? A person should pay attention to this and believe that the Creator is tending to him and guides him on the track that leads to the king's palace. It follows that he should be happy that the Creator is watching over him and gives him the descents as well. That is, a person should believe, as much as he can understand, that the Creator is giving him the ascents, since certainly a person cannot say that he himself receives the ascents, but that the Creator wants to bring him closer. This is why he gives him the ascents, Also, a person should believe that the Creator gives him the sense as well, because he wants to bring him closer. Therefore, every single thing that he can do, he must do as though he's in a state of ascent. Therefore, when he overcomes a little during the descent, it is called an awakening from below. Each act that he does, he believes that it is the Creator's will, and by this itself, he is rewarded with greater nearing, meaning that the person himself begins to feel that the Creator has brought him closer. All right, let's read that again. As usual, we're reading everything twice. A person should pay attention to this and believe that the Creator is tending to him and guides him on the track that leads to the king's palace. Whatever we go through in life, good, bad, ugly, and it will get ugly sometimes, as we all experience in life, right? Sometimes things just get ugly, and that's fine, but it doesn't matter, because everything is designed, especially for a person who's walking on the path, everything is designed so that a person can turn to the Creator. Because the only time we can be close to the Creator is if we turn to him, right? All the time, we want to turn to the Creator, turn to the Creator. So the Creator brings about the sense and the sense. It follows that he should be happy that the Creator is watching over him and gives him the sense as well. Look at that. Look what it's saying. That I should be happy when I'm going through a dramatic situation. If I have bad days, it's like a sign that the Creator is giving me a kiss. Okay. Well, it doesn't really, feel like a moochie kiss, but obviously, okay, that's what the Kabbalists are saying. Because if I was having a great day, I rarely turn to the Creator for the good stuff. Because when I feel good, I'm not feeling good. Who wants to turn to the Creator, right? I'm enjoying that good state. But if I'm in a descent, if I'm just feeling bad, it's a sign that the Creator is giving us a call. So what we have to do now is do the work that falls upon us. Okay, what's our duty to do? And then what's happening? That is, a person should believe as much as he can understand that the Creator is giving him this sense, and certainly a person cannot say that he himself receives this sense, but that the Creator wants to bring him closer. This is why he gives him this sense. So on the one hand, I've got this sense, and on the other hand, for every descent, I've got an ascent as well. Okay, so we're like surfing. Okay, so going up and down, up and down, up and down. Now the important thing is this: most of the time is when we're feeling elevated, the chances of getting disconnected from the Creator are more because we're feeling good. Okay, so when you're feeling good, turning to the Creator for help is a bit of a drama. So what we have to do, whether we're feeling good or bad, shouldn't matter. We should be in such a state that whether I feel good or bad is irrelevant. I can feel good, I can feel bad, it's irrelevant, but I'm always keeping my relationship with the Creator. Okay, so I'm not just turning to him every time I feel bad and start crying, but I'm actually turning to him every time there's a good state, bad state, good state, bad state. So that way I'm above the ascents and the descents. And I'm always with the Creator because I'm always trying to feel that everything is coming from him, and also trying to make sense of everything that's coming from him so I can adjust myself on the path. Okay, so everything that comes to me, whether it's a good thing or seemingly a really bad thing, it's all done in order to bring me closer to the Creator. So at the end of the day, I can't really say I'm getting anything bad from the Creator. Okay, because even if the things that cause me to feel bad are in order to get closer to the Creator, I can't say we're getting anything bad, even though it feels like it could be horrific stuff, obviously. All right, does that make sense? Okay, so this is how it pans out. Also, a person should believe that the Creator gives him the sense as well, because he wants to bring him closer. So in any case, the Creator just wants to bring us closer to him. So all we have to do really is, whether we're in an ascent or a descent, do what's on our part to do. Therefore, every single thing that he can do, he must do as though he is in a state of ascent. Therefore, when we overcome a little during the descent, it's called an awakening from below. Each act that he does, he believes that it is the Creator's will, and by this itself, he is rewarded with greater nearing, meaning that the person himself begins to feel that the Creator has brought him closer. So what do I have to really do? If I'm in a descent or an ascent, and if they both come from the Creator, if they both come to bring me close to the Creator, what am I supposed to do? Just one thing: stick my head in the group with all the conditions that I'm going through. Okay, because if I'm in an ascent, I'm going to go into the group and give them the push. That means I'm going to be bestowing to them. If I'm in a descent, I'm going to feel weak. So if I'm feeling weak, I'm sticking my head into the group, then they're giving me force and power. So there's this, it's like this heart, right? It's like the heart pumping. So I'm pumping out, pulling in, pumping out, pulling in all the time. So whether I'm in an ascent or descent, doesn't matter. I stick my head in the group, I'm pushing the group in an ascent because I got power now. I'm in a descent, I stick my head into the group, now I'm getting power from the group. So I only have to do one thing: remain connected to the 10. And that's where the Creator is. And if I stay connected to the 10, everything I get from the 10 will be relevant to my ascent or descent. If I don't, I'm going to miss the message. Okay, understand? Okay, because the Creator is talking us through the 10. Okay, so if I don't stick my head in there, I'm not gonna understand what he's trying to tell me. How am I supposed to understand what he's trying to tell me? Through the study. Okay, for example, like I said, look, we're studying today, and immediately what was stuck in my head, I got a nice little answer from the article. Why? Because we're not letting go. We're just pushing on like a bulldozer. Okay, no mercy. Just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. And that way the Creator brings in the answers. And it's all in the text. And it all depends on the person. But the person should not let go of the Creator. And sometimes we're going through bad states and people say the Creator has left me. The Creator never leaves anybody. Only people leave the Creator. So if you keep pushing, you'll find answers. And those answers are going to be the foundation of your next step. This is why you always got to stick your head in the group, because that's where you're getting the answers. Any questions? Any dramas? Anything we're going to help with? No? All right. Let's move forward. Item number 8, Rabash, article number 19. Why is the Torah called middle line in the work? One must believe, as was said above, that there is none else besides him, meaning that it is the Creator who compels him to do the good deeds. But since he is still unworthy of knowing that it is the Creator who commits him, the Creator dresses himself in dresses of flesh and blood, through which the Creator performs these actions. Thus the Creator acts in the form of Ahoraim. In other words, the person sees people's faces, but he should believe that behind the faces stands the Creator. Welcome back again. We just had a technical problem. So talking about ups and downs, ascents and descents, as you can see, we've got one happening right now. Well, what do we have to do, right? Just because we had a technical issue, we can't say, okay, let's pack up tonight and go. So what do? We try to fix it up. We understand it's from the Creator, but we understand we want to push forward. So we do all we can, understanding that this is from the Creator, and we want to do it because we want to advance in spirituality to bring contentment to the Creator, which means to bestow upon him just like he's bestowing to us. I'm going to start article number, excerpt from Rabash, article number 19, excerpt number 8 again. All right, so that's the kind of, so that's where we left off. So we'll just do that again. Okay, 8, Rabash, article number 19. Why is the Torah called middle line in the work? One must believe, as was said above, that there is none else besides him, meaning that it is the Creator who compels him to do the good deeds. But since he is still unworthy of knowing that it is the Creator who commits him, the creator dresses himself in dresses of flesh and blood, through which the creator performs these actions. Thus the creator acts in the form of Ahoraim, posterior. In other words, the person sees people's faces, but he should believe that behind the faces stands the creator and performs these actions. That is, behind the man stands the creator and compels him to do the deeds that the creator wants. It follows that the creator does everything, but the person regards what he sees and not what he should believe. All right, so let's go over this one and then call it a night. One must believe, as was said above, that there is none else besides him, meaning that it is the creator who compels him to do the good deeds. But since he is still unworthy of knowing that it is the creator who commits him, the creator dresses himself in dresses of flesh and blood, through which the creator performs these actions. Thus the creator acts in the form of Ahoraim, posterior. So a lot of things happen to us and are done to us by people. Okay, so the Kabbalists are saying, listen, don't look at the face or the person that's doing this stuff. Look at it like there's a creator behind the scene. And that's like, I don't know, like Kermit the Frog. All right. So you don't have to look at Kermit the Frog. You got to look at what's behind Kermit. All right. I don't know if you guys ever watched the Muppet Show. I used to love the Muppet Show when I was a kid. So what you want to do is always keep an eye out on who's pulling the strings. Okay. Because that's what's happening behind the scene is the thought of the actions that you see in front of your eyes. Okay. And that's where we want to reach. Okay. We want to go and think about what the creator is doing, what the impact is to me, and how I need to respond to it. So it's not anybody doing anything to me, it's the creator doing stuff to me. All right, so the creator just messed around with our YouTube internet connection, and it wasn't our internet provider. It was the creator mucking around, okay? And that's fine. So what do we have to do? We have to show that we want to get connected, we want to get back on track, we want to finish this evening with the article that we're reading or the excerpts we're reading. Doesn't matter, okay? So we just have to keep pushing forward. The important thing is to always understand that everything comes from the creator, and I shouldn't have to worry about what people are saying, what they're thinking, what they're doing, and so forth. Just consider everything like the creator is acting on me, and I should just get hints on how to work with it so I can take my next step in spirituality. And that's normally going to be how to strengthen myself in faith in the creator. Okay, so every time something nasty happens, or I go through some descent or whatever, I need to relate it to the creator and then to use the situation in order to take the next step. That's how I can use it properly. Otherwise, I'm just going to get depressed and start taking Prozac, and that's not really going to work out for us. Okay, why? Because we want to make sure our head is in the right place, because every time I'm going through something, I need to use my head to evaluate what I'm going to do next. So the creator is throwing the ball to me, and now I'm going to think about how I'm going to hit that back. Okay, this is why it's all about this me and the creator, me and the creator, me and the creator. In other words, the person sees people's faces, but he should believe that behind the faces stands the creator and performs these actions. If I get this perspective right, then every action I do against that state becomes more focused. Okay, then I'm not dealing with people. I'm dealing with something the creator is using against me, and I'm dealing straight with the creator. Okay, that is behind the man stands the creator and compels him to do the deeds that the creator wants. So all of us are actually doing stuff that the creator is compelling us to do from the perspective of the other person. All right, so everybody's doing what they should be doing, and it's like it's a set program. Okay, so we're all going according to a software program, let's say, okay? But from my perspective, it's always going to be like you guys are being programmed, and me, I'm responding to the creator's program. And from your perspective, it's going to be like, oh, well, you guys are all programmed, and I'm going to be now acting according to what I get from that program. Okay, from our individual perspective, it's always going to be the other way around. Okay, and what's beautiful about this is how the creator is using all of us against each other. Right, so the creator is just, imagine the amount of combinations, the permutations that it involves when 8 billion people are interacting, and the creator is using everybody against everybody in all kinds of ways to get his point across, to make us go through things that we, that makes us feel good or bad, or all kinds of feelings that we go through. He's using everybody against each other. So if everyone was to take a step back and say there's none else besides him, so I'm just going to direct myself according to that principle, and obviously if they were studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, life would be quite simple, because we'd all be using everything that's happening with respect to our progress in spirituality. But because 8 billion people out there on the planet are not doing it, everybody thinks it's Tom, Dick, and Harry that are doing something, when in fact they've got nothing to do with anything. All right, so Mr. Biden, Putin, or Xi, or whatever, any guy on the planet who thinks they're doing something is a joke. Okay, and that's how it is. This is how the creator is playing around like we play around with our children. So the whole idea here is to understand that correct perspective we need to build with respect to our development. It follows that the creator does everything, but the person regards what he sees and not what he should believe. And because I see other people doing things, normally people don't relate anything to the creator. They only relate things that are like extraordinary stuff, and they call them miracles and stuff like that. They relate those things to the creator. Everything else is Tom, Dick, and Harry doing stuff. All right. So from our perspective, though, in the wisdom of Kabbalah, because the creator is running the whole show, everything that's happening to me is coming from the creator. And that's how I need to focus and think. And that's how I can then build a relationship with the creator. That's how I need to focus and think. All right. So I hope that went all down well. And sorry about the technical glitch, but what can I say? There's none else besides him. Okay. It is good. That does good. All the best. If you have any questions, dramas, we can always fix them up in Tuesdays. And also, if you're in the morning lesson, you can always ask a question to the Rav. If you're new to the channel, please do go to Kabbalah.info. And if you're interested in studying the wisdom of Kabbalah, join the KABU Academy there, where you'll find a bunch of brilliant people willing to do their best for you. Have a great evening or day, depending where you are.